BMW. Just drive with me. Drive with me. Drive with me in my ultimate machine. BMW, 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 the ultimate machine. BMW, 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 the ultimate machine. We are utterly conscious of the fact that business has a large and lasting effect on the world it exists in. That is why we celebrate the role of BMW in constructively intervening to counteract the effects and the business and its functions may have on the environment, may have on the community. That is why we celebrate. That is why we celebrate. Just drive with me. Drive with me. Drive with me in my ultimate machine. BMW, 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 the ultimate machine. It's my BMW, 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 the ultimate machine. Just drive with me. Drive with me. Just drive with me in my BMW. Just drive with me. Drive with me. Drive with me in my ultimate machine. BMW, 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 the ultimate machine. BMW, 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 the ultimate machine.
Well, just played you a track titled BMW. And when we're talking of BMW, we're not talking about the car in itself, but rather the corporate that is a BMW. Just acknowledging also saluting the role that individual actors play on a day-to-day basis using corporates like BMW in as far as bridging the divide in our communities when you look at the triple challenges that are faced in Africa: unemployment, inequality, as well as poverty. BMW, when you look at it itself, it employs a large number of people, and it's also involved in corporate social investment programs that are very education being one of them, and also just raising awareness on gender-based violence. But this evening, as we are tuned into the 1873 FM, well, I would like to take this opportunity to actually thank each and every individual that is tuned in at this very moment on your favorite channel of choice, that is the 1873 FM, where your voice on issues that matter is fundamental in as far as shaping and defining the character and personality of the kind of future that we all want collectively. Tinashe Mpasire being the name, and yes, this is yet another edition, the Africa I Want, and this evening looking at who is who in the coronavirus or COVID-19 value chain. And so what basically inspired this short program this evening is the fact that you find that the coronavirus has actually, it's a global epidemic, 446,567 coronavirus cases that have been so far reported, 19,803 deaths reported, and 112,050 individuals that have recovered so far. But the biggest question this evening is who in the coronavirus or COVID-19 value chain. And what actually inspired this conversation, or rather this program, is the fact that when I look at myself as an individual, being somebody who has who's so privileged to have a platform like radio where such questions can actually be asked, and also where ideas can be shared in as far as how best we can be able to curb this coronavirus that we are currently facing in whichever community that you happen to be. Is the prices of some of the commodities that happen to be fundamental in as far as reducing contamination of the coronavirus is concerned, or reducing the spread of the coronavirus is concerned. And amongst some of those things, you're talking of your hand sanitizers, you're talking of your latex gloves, you're talking of your masks, which come in different forms. You've got the N95, the one that I'm actually holding at this moment, and you also have got the FFP2. These are two different types of masks that I've been using myself as an individual in order to minimize the contamination of the virus. So looking at the supply side of it and also the demand side of it, the supply is so critical in such that you find that the supply of the masks it's very limited at the moment, and this has driven a high demand of the mask, and also in turn driving the prices to exorbitant prices, one would say, or ridiculous prices, one would put it across. But who is actually playing a part in this value chain? From what I have actually observed as an individual interacting with those who happen to be representing suppliers, those also happen representing buyers, be it agents or the principal buyer themselves, you realize that there is no order at all in the market. And even the aspect of pricing, who actually determines which price to be put on a particular product, whether it's a mask or a hand sanitizer. So it got me to think like, okay, whom can I actually speak to? Who can I talk to in as far as these matters are concerned? And I believe that each and every individual, no matter what you do, no matter where you're from, either way, coronavirus affects us as individuals. You might not have it, but the fact that it's airborne and it can spread rapidly, it's important that each and every individual plays a part in understanding who's who in the value chain. Because there's some people who actually also are vulnerable to this epidemic, but they have no access to such resources like your masks, like your hand sanitizers, because of the cost of these products on the market at the moment. So if you are interested in being part of the conversation in as far as understanding the value chain of the COVID-19 as well as the coronavirus, well, these conversations are not just going to end here on the 1873 FM, but these are conversations that will continuously happen even on social media, be it on Twitter or on Facebook. And the handle that you can follow and add your voice to this matter is at the 1873 FM. I've realized that there are different prices for just one particular product, and these prices at the moment they're ranging from 31 rand per mask, that is for the FFP2, to almost 80 rand per mask. And yes, one gets to think that this product that normally goes for, let's say, 2 rand 50, 3 rand is going for this price at this moment. How can we be able to get a basket so that I secure myself and also secure my future? So whom is it that I can bank on as the face of some of these products that are needed by people in order to minimize the spread of the coronavirus? And I said, okay, why don't I become also one of the first individuals who will volunteer to be the face of this particular value chain in as far as talking about it, and also taking decisive action that will result in positive outcomes, and ensuring that at the end of the day, when you look at each and every individual that resides on the continent, that also resides on this planet Earth, they also have access to these masks, to these hand sanitizers, to these gloves at an affordable price. So that being said, I'm calling upon individuals who happen to be on the supply side to also reach out, those who happen to be on the buyer side to also reach out, so that we can be able to put our heads together and ensure that when we look at this market, when you look at this value chain, there is order, there is also an element of organization, such that we are able to deal with this chaos. I mean, when you look at the demand of masks, the demand of hand sanitizers, the demand of latex gloves, it's no different from other commodities that you can think of. Think of the diamonds in itself. At one point, there was a diamond rush in several countries, I mean, in different parts of the world. And the first example that comes to my mind is that of South Africa back then in between 1870 no, not 1870, 1871 and 1877, when Cecil John Rhodes arrived in South Africa and got to Kimberley. One thing that he observed was the chaos in the diamond industry, where individuals were selling stones at different prices, and some of them were not actually real stones, they were actually quartz and so forth. So to actually eliminate that aspect of whereby as an individual you get something that is actually a substandard in as far as masks are concerned, because some of these masks, they actually don't meet the standards that are required to be met by the standards association boards. So how best can we be able to tell that this mask is meets the required standard? This one does not. This one actually meets the required standard. This one does not meet the required standard. Who can actually speak to some of these issues that are critical in ensuring that at the end of the day, when you pay for that particular mask, when you pay for it, it's no longer a mask. It's also money in itself in motion. How best can you be able to avoid losing your money to products that are counterfeit or that don't meet the required standard at the end of the day? So Tinashe Mpasiri being the name, the show, the Africa I Want, and particularly focusing on who is who in the COVID-19 value chain. Feel free to reach out so that we can all work together in ensuring that order is brought to the market, and at the end of the day, people, they exchange value for value, and what you pay is the price of that particular product that you are getting. So make sure we make a date tomorrow morning on the 1873 FM's Sandton Express morning show. This was just provocative. This was just to provoke individuals to start speaking about the value chain of the COVID-19 and coronavirus business, and who happens to be who is who in this value chain, who is on the supply side, who is on the demand side, and how best can we be able to ensure that there is order in the market and we do away with chaos, so that when you want a particular thing, you know exactly where to go to and get it, and for what a particular price. On that note, it's good evening to all who have tuned in and also made a time to listen to this. And good evening to Mutunga Dimawere. I see you are tuned in. And yes, if you also want to add your voice, I can be able to drop you a link, and maybe we can simply ensure that this conversation is shaped in such a manner that will provoke more individuals to be part of it, because coronavirus doesn't just affect me. It doesn't just affect the people who happen to be tuned in, but it affects everyone who happens to be on this planet at this time. So if you want to be part of the conversation, just indicate, then I can be able to, or rather, let me just share the link, and yes, we will take a bit of time to see who else will be interested in joining the conversation and just adding their voice to it, and ensuring that at the end of the day, we don't just be spectators, but we become problem solvers in whatever community that we happen to be in ensuring that this pandemic that we are facing as individuals collectively, we all play a part in being a solution. So as we await some individuals to also connect and being part of the conversation, we simply go on a short break. And as we go on that short break, sounds of the 1873 United Artists with a track titled Ready to Learn.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. When we realized this, we all knew we were heading for something, someplace. Ooh, where minds have never been. It frightens us that we never understood the true value of time. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Ooh. Now we are ready to learn, oh yeah, of the power of grace. Without we would not be where we are today. Now we are ready to learn, oh yeah, of the power of grace. Without we would not be where we are today. Now we are ready to learn of the power of grace. Without we would not be where we are today. Network. Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
It's big. Check the power of grace, a blessing to the human race. Determination, you can see it in my face. Forever certain.
The power of grace, indeed, a blessing to the human population. And yes, right about now, on the other end of the line, I happen to be joined by the chairman of the 1873 network, that is Mr. Mutunga Mawere. Mr. Mawere, wonderful evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us this evening on the 1873 FM.
Thank you very much, and thanks for choosing this day before the lockdown to talk about the subject of the business of Corona and whether.
Hello, yes, Mr. Mawere? Okay, it seemed to have lost Mr. Mawere there, but I do hope that you will reconnect shortly so that we can get ahead with the conversation. And yes, this evening, as we all about improving literacy on issues that matter, all about raising awareness when it comes to subjects that are fundamental, that are critical. Yes, let's see if Mr. Mawere can be able to. Yes, Mr. Mawere, I'd lost you there for a second. Thank you for joining us yet again on this conversation that we are having a day before the lockdown and looking at the value chain of COVID-19, or rather the business of coronavirus.
Yeah, this I just finished the conversation with Tapiwa Chitambo in Mutare, Zimbabwe.
Yes.
The conversation started this morning.
Yes.
How much do you want me to read you the conversation?
Sure. I mean, this is a platform for sharing information, and yes, knowledge is power. We needed to progress.
Yeah, so this is, let's see how it all started. Then we can also encourage other people to look at these conversations and see what time the day started. It started, 11:16 last night. Do you have suppliers in Zimbabwe? Morning. Then how are they delivered, which is the masks?
Yes.
You may be surprised that there are already suppliers in Zimbabwe.
Very true.
There are regular suppliers, but demand
Hello, Mr. Moire. Okay, right. As we await Mutunga Mawere to actually reconnect, he's just sharing a conversation that he had with a gentleman by the name Tapiwa Chitambo, who also happens to be interested in the value chain of the COVID-19 business, or the business of coronavirus. So once we manage to reconnect with Mr. Mawere, he will continue sharing with us what Tapiwa was actually talking about. And yes, you find that many times as individuals, we actually don't think before we do certain things. We just want to find ourselves jumping into something. And in doing so, it results in losses that are massive. And yet, when we are better organized as individuals, we can actually be able to do so much more and realize a return from the efforts that we put into doing something together. So hopefully Mr. Mawere will be able to reconnect as we are having this special broadcast this evening on the 1873 FM, your platform for conversations on issues that matter. And if you happen to be watching, and if you just want to add your 2 cents, well, feel free. A link for you to connect has actually been shared on the various platforms, so that you too can also be part of the conversation. Yes, Mr. Mawere, thank God we've managed to reconnect with you, and you were just sharing your conversation with Mr. Chitambo.
That's right. So you may find that when we share the actual conversations, then you enrich the understanding of what we're trying to say. So this was a conversation, I think we're at 8:15.
Yes, 8:15 in the morning.
In the morning. So let me just go to 8. Okay. Today is what? Today is the
25th of March.
The 25th of March, yeah. So I'm just 25th of March. So yeah, 8. I was yeah. So I said, when we say no nigger business, you know what we mean.
You can educate us, Mr. Mawere. Educate me, particularly me. Let me talk about me. When you say no nigger business, what does it mean?
That they are regular suppliers, but demand is getting up. That answer does not lead you anywhere. It's not specific. It's not responding to the question. All I say to you, you may be surprised that there are already suppliers in Zimbabwe. So as a business person, he wants to know who his competitors are in Zimbabwe.
Yes.
Before he asks me for a price in South Africa.
Indeed.
Do you have access to people who need the products? Then I ask him. Interested individuals, but for bulk buying, there is need for advertising. He's already looking at spending money that he needs to make from selling.
Yes.
Then I respond, you can start by compiling a list of possible users or customers. Then his answer is, yes, let me do that, which he could have done already without talking to me.
Yes.
Then I say, great. How much are the products? Can you send pictures? He is now asking me to give him products that are not available in the market that he wants to sell.
Yes.
Instead of checking what is being sold from the people who are selling. So he then crosses the border in his mind. The focus is establish the demand, and from there we can establish the cheapest seller.
Absolutely.
Why don't you just go to pharmacies in your area just to check what masks are retailing at. Then you can
Yes.
work backward from there. Let me do the search. Great. Then he speaks to somebody who is a pharmacist. How much? I may know a pharmacy. Which product is this and what quantity? This is the 3-ply masks. The quantity is determined by the prices. So that answer is nigger answer.
Yeah, okay, I'm learning.
What determines the price of anything?
What determines the price of anything?
Yeah.
Okay. What I understand as far as anything is concerned is that it's value for value, and price is what you pay.
Yeah. Quantity always determines the value.
Absolutely. The higher
And
the volume,
price follow. If I say I need 1 million units, at one time it means I only have one invoice to make.
yes.
So it's cheaper to sell 1 million units than to sell 1 million divided by 1,000.
Yes.
The price is also determined by the quantity and the place of supply. Then he says the place is Mutare. And what quantity do they want, or what budget do they have for the 3-ply?
Yes.
So he then starts a conversation with a pharmacist. The Peter Pure Plus, I have bulk supplies of 3-ply masks on offer. Now he's talking about that he has something that he doesn't have. That's a nigger talk.
Yes.
If you don't have, you want to establish from the market.
Yes.
And that's all you want. You can't say I have something that I don't have.
Absolutely.
Then I have bulk supplies. Then Tapua said the price is determined by the quantity demanded. Acceptable, but my friend, there's obviously a ceiling of how much I can retail individual masks to customers. How much for a box of 50 or 100? Now the pharmacist is asking him, not him learning from the pharmacist.
Yes.
So when we say ready to learn, I must always be the one with no answers.
True.
Then he says, too small quantity, because I told you. How much for a box of 1,000? How much for 1,000? No problem. What's the price for 1,000? Hello? Then we stop because I didn't have the price.
Yes.
Maybe if I have a general idea, we can work on this. No problem. Pinturas, you are not answering. The pharmacist asked. I'm waiting for the prices in Zim from suppliers best day, which is what I told him. Okay. Once I know the cost of 1,000, then I can make an order accordingly. Then the point is great. I will be offline soon due to electricity in Zimbabwe.
Yes.
Okay. When will we have this information? It's now 1:24. Mutare is a program. We are trying to get prices there. In SA, the price is about 25 Rand per unit for 3-ply. You could start with any price above that. Each unit is how many? I said a unit is one single mask.
Yes.
I said you start with a guesswork. That's nigger talk.
Yes.
Okay. Then I asked him at 6:21 this evening, what did he say? When you say per unit, what do you mean? Are you saying a single mask for $2.50? He says a unit is one mask. No, thank you. That's absurd. Then I say you should ask him what is the price per mask that he last bought it. Then he says, I bought $1 for what? For 2 masks, which means each mask is how much? If it's $1 is for 2 masks.
Then each mask is 50 US cents.
And if you convert 50 cents into rands, how much is that?
50 cents into rands at today's rate, that's about 8 rand 70 cents.
Yeah, for 3 ply. You have been scouting in the market here. What do you think of this price?
Of 8 rand 70 cents. I think this
Yeah,
is actually.
I mean, the one who supplies to retailers.
Come again?
I mean, the price that is supplied to retailers is
Yes.
8 rand 75. Is it low or high or medium? Medium.
Well, from my observation of the market lately, it's a very low price.
So I said it means it is cheaper to buy in Zim and sell to SA.
Yes.
Okay, it might be because of the passive attitude here in Zimbabwe. He's now talking about passive attitude. There's nothing to do with passive. Now he must be now energized to say, let me go to the pharmacist and be a friend of the pharmacist. To say, can you buy more through where you're buying?
Yes.
Then I will ask Tinashe, if I gave you for 15 rand or 13 rand masks, would that be okay?
Yes, I'm following.
Then I can go to any airline and send a box to you from Zim.
Yes.
So this conversation, when you look at it, you may discover that the person I'm communicating with actually does not understand what I'm trying to say. And then you start with a guesswork. That's nigger talk. So that is the essence of it.
Yes.
Hmm?
Yes. Yeah, I'm learning and I'm following.
Yeah. So that's the lesson for the day. If you are a businessman from this conversation, you can actually go to Tapiwa and say, Tapiwa, please confirm that is 50 cents per unit.
Okay. Certainly, we'll confirm with him. I will actually reach out to Tapiwa and also confirm with him. And yes, I think
then
this
we
has
can have
been
another now with the conversation with Tapiwa. And we now know one pharmacist. Tare, how many pharmacists are there?
I'm not sure. I think that's another.
No, then we start. Is there an association of pharmacists? You may discover there is.
Yes.
Then you start from there.
Yes.
Does it make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And I think, Mr. Mawere, firstly, I just want to thank you for joining me on this conversation this evening. Sparked by our conversation earlier in the afternoon of lack of organization, starting with me as an individual. And after seeing the chaos in the market in itself, I said, no, let me be the first person to avail myself that I'm ready to learn more about the value chain in the coronavirus business. Hello? 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 Okay.
Hello?
Oh, yes, I'd lost you there for a bit, Mr. Mawere. I can hear you now.
Okay, I'm saying that is the spirit. When you learn something, you practice it. Now you have a conversation. And you know how many people are in this conversation now?
Right now, I'm seeing. I would lie if I were to say how many people are in
No,
the
I'm
conversation.
saying that
So far, it's
the
just
conference
yourself,
now, Tapua
myself, Tapiwa, yes, and the pharmacist.
and it's now four of us.
That's it.
You see, so it started you
Mm-hmm.
alone.
Yes.
Now we have four,
Yes.
and all we are talking about is how do I play a part?
Mm-hmm.
Why are products cheaper in Zimbabwe than in South Africa?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's cheaper in Zimbabwe and there's excess stock, how can I bridge that stock to a market that is liquid?
Mm-hmm.
Because in Zimbabwe, I may have the stock, but people don't have the money to pay for it in dollars.
Absolutely.
So I start going now, energized, looking for information.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was talking about, nigger talk, somebody just answers a question without thinking. Instead of saying, hang on, let me do my research.
Yes.
And instead of talking to the pharmacist as somebody who wants to know, he is talking to the pharmacist as he is representing somebody,
Mm-hmm.
as if he was my agent.
Okay. Yes. I get you. I get you.
Yeah. So instead of just you representing yourself, say, I need to establish what are the property, what is going on in Zimbabwe.
Mm-hmm.
Are the products available? If so, what are they retailing it? What are they wholesaling it? And where are they getting the products from?
Yeah. Precisely.
There may be somebody manufacturing there with a plant.
Yes.
Then you place an order for supply to South Africa.
Yes.
Because although people can't cross the border, but goods can cross the border.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I think it's been a very insightful conversation for me. I've learned. That's always. I mean, that's something that I hold dearly. Learning each and every day, and ensuring that whatever I learn, I put into practice. And on that note, really want to thank you so much, Mr. Mawere, for you taking your time this evening. You could just be relaxing, doing something else, but you have chosen to democratize knowledge on this platform. And wish
So
you a
just
love.
just flood the market with it, with the
Yes,
with your content. Just if you've got a SoundCloud, because in Zimbabwe they may have data issues,
that is very true.
but you can send that to all the groups that you belong to,
Absolutely.
and then you see what people would say.
Very true.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much once again, Mr. Mawere. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Okay, thanks.
And to our viewers, to our listeners who joined us this evening, thank you for making the 1873 FM your channel of choice. Jonisani Maromo, a very good evening to you. Perpetua Makuerere and Roberta Kurenji. Darian Clemente, a wonderful evening to you. Glad to know that you are tuned in. Johnny, okay. So I've mentioned all these individuals that also tune in. And on that note, it's goodbye from me, Tinashe Mpasiri. And yes, this particular recording or conversation will be available for your convenience to listen later from the 1873 FM's SoundCloud platform. And on that note, I'll leave you listening to sounds of the 1873 United Artists with a track titled Spinning Plates. Each and every individual, wherever they happen to be, they also spinning plates. They are juggling their plates. I'm juggling my plates. Yeah, radio presenter, an accountant, a also happen to be doing many other things. And I do believe that each individual also happens to be doing many other things in order for them to realize revenue from different streams of revenue. Okay. Make sure that you make a date tomorrow morning on the 1873 FM Santon Express Morning Show, and definitely we'll be ready to serve you with knowledge.
Oxland Beats.
You should be waking up early, sleeping late, working hard to be really great, cause we all make mistakes, but never run an unfinished race. Ignore the stress, just focus on the actions that'll get you to that winning place. Priorities, people, talents, goals, balance those like spinning plates. Spinning plates, yeah, spinning plates. Yeah, if you drop it, it breaks. Yeah, if you lose it, it breaks. Life's like spinning plates. Yeah, spinning plates. Yeah, if you drop it, it breaks. Yeah, don't stop or it breaks. Yeah, spin those plates like a circus trick. Find out.